Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WGLNA. We just saw Simple Tinkers 5-0 their opponents, top tier. Followed by that, it was quite the series. Team Fear versus eLevate. eLevate takes it 5-2, and now we're getting ready for eLevate versus RUlette. A good start so far.
I think so. I think tonight's been so far a huge success. Both teams showing up and really proving that they deserve to go to the finals. Doesn't matter tomorrow. I really think that anyone who makes it to tomorrow truly deserves it. It's just a matter of who deserves it just a little bit more.
A little bit more. They have to put it up right now. It's do or die. Teams are going home tonight, waiting until next season in order to play World of Tanks at a competitive level, at least for cash money. $171,000 prize pool. Very big deal. We hope you join us in San Francisco. We also hope to hear from you tonight. Go ahead and send us some tweets over on Twitter at WGLNA or on Facebook at facebook.com/WGLNA. But if you send your tweets on Twitter, make sure to use that hashtag down below, WGLNA.
And, of course, the question of the day, we're looking for, don't forget, hashtag WGLNA when you type this one. Which underdog is your favorite to advance to the finals remaining tonight? We have RUlette as maybe an underdog. We also have Hammer Time, Simply Irresistible. Simply Irresistible is not a bad choice if you're looking for somebody to pick as your underdog.
Possibility.
Those are the guys
But
left.
you have to think about, wow, RUlette, an underdog, the team that was #1, that took home the championship as hashtag RU.
But they said themselves that they don't really consider themselves the champions in that way because it's a new format. Everything is different. You're still playing World of Tanks, but you're not playing it nearly the same way you were.
eLevate has been with us for quite some time, and they've had their ups, they've had their downs, and now they have a very good shot to join us in San Francisco. But they have a very tough opponent, RUlette. Let's go ahead and check out the journey to the playoffs for eLevate. The type of aggressive play that eLevate would bring in the past was a breath of fresh air a number of times.
Also, that's formerly Burn All Empires. They've kind of changed things around, done a little merger with the team eLevate from the Silver League, and are kind of looking to grow, and it looks like an interesting step for them.
You took the game to the next level when you went on an international stage and Rumble in the West.
I think eLevate was overly aggressive in this situation.
And that is it. Simp is able to take it 5-2.
I would say a new and improved team.
Maybe new and improved, but they're having trouble because eLevate is sitting here now at 0-2. I think that what eLevate's been trying to do strategically is not allow their opponent to ever be comfortable.
No. Oh, God.
And he's already...
Yorick in the 251 is able to just take 100% hit points.
Oh, my
And
gosh.
down he goes. Fun Gaming will take it 5-4.
eLevate's currently sitting in 12th place in the standings. You had losses against Simp, RBS, Fun Gaming, and Cunningham's. They have shown great promise in some of their plays, just with their tactics and strategy. Victoria's Secret, who had a hell of a series against eLevate, now ready to fall as the remainder of eLevate's push it in. And that's it. Lost gets it, and eLevate closes the tiebreaker series 5-4, straight ahead. And he goes down. eLevate closes the series 5-2 against eLevate. Good series between these two teams, but eLevate proved victorious.
eLevate will take it 5-1. No way. These guys are so good, man. You know, it is important to mention that. eLevate, they started off very, very rocky. 3 losses off the bat, and they've just been crushing ever since then. That shows you just the way they adapt and evolve in this series, in this type of format. They've been looking a lot better, and I think they're going to do really well.
eLevate's already won half the battle. If you're able to impress Andre Gritor-Pengshua, you're doing something right.
He was excited. It was great to have him here commentating with us because he brings so much fun energy to it because he hasn't been sitting here for every week. So things that we got used to as strategies or things we got used to as little innovations, he got to experience on the stage where we'd gotten to experience here on the stage a few times in a row. So it was just so refreshing, you know, like watching him open a present.
Definitely was. And it was fun to watch you guys live at the very brief sessions that I could. Was not here for different engagements.
It's okay, Josh.
It's all right. It's all right.
Okay.
I can't be everywhere at once. RUlette, a team that won Season 4, now in, I believe, 9th place right now, has had their ups and downs this season, but they're poised to continue to make it through the playoffs. They have to defeat their opponents eLevate tonight. Let's take a look at the journey of the playoffs.
RUlette, another top contender, but we've seen they're mortal.
Yes, they haven't been performing as well as we would have expected them as the champions of last season.
Certain tanks, the 1390s were moving away. Now this T50 World Lightweight is able to clear Tyler Durden, and a floppy giraffe gets eliminated as well at a very quick win for RUlette.
RUlette is surprising us a little bit with their back and forth performance, and the question is up in the air. They were a Season 4 champion team when they had different roster members.
In a different format.
In a different format as well. So is it because the roster has changed, they're not having the same outcome? Or is it because the format has changed and they're not having the same outcome? Soviet, 2 seconds left. 1 second. Can they get the shot from downtown? They can. RUlette is close to closing this series with a huge comeback, one of the biggest comebacks we've seen on broadcast this season. RUlette comes back and takes the series 5-4 via tiebreaker.
Yeah, that's looking at it in hindsight. I mean, that is an impressive comeback. That is.
I think it's another building year for RUlette, despite being at the top.
They're rebuilding. They're reimagining themselves.
Well, we've rebuilt and reimagined this entire league, so it makes sense. So RUlette are winning the skirmishes across the map, but they didn't win the battle because the defenders were able to thin them out. Looking for the shot. Long range, gets it. Beautiful shot coming from Fight Breast Cancer, and that's it. eLevate closes the series 5-2 against RUlette.
Winner of the match is going to be RUlette. Congratulations to them. They're one step closer to making it to the playoffs. Remember, they need to win every single one after this.
Toplum takes them down. 3 seconds left. The T-32s are not going to make it. 1 second left, and RUlette does it. They capture the base. They take the series 5-2, and RUlette stays alive to make it into the playoffs. And RUlette hanging in there, making it to the playoffs in the 9th position. We saw top tier, the team just below them, knocked out Civil Tankers at the beginning of the night tonight. So the pressure is on for both these teams. Of course it is. I mean, there's a lot at stake. Winner goes home. Or excuse me, winner continues, loser goes home. Well, they'll go home until Tuesday, but yeah. Winner continues, loser goes home. And RUlette's been in this situation. eLevate's been in this situation. Just depends on which way it's going to go.
And I mean, RUlette already had to go onto a hot streak to get here, right? They were losing all over the place. They lost Cunningham's, eLevate, Fear, 3 in a row right towards the end of the season. And that's after a early season of just not working out for them. After beating Timed Out, Simp, Arbus, all 3 in a row right at the end of the season. RUlette's not looking half bad, but eLevate is a team that's been more consistent than them.
And we have a team representative from eLevate standing by. Let's go ahead and check in with him for tonight's face-off. Good evening, sir.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Doing great, Zoid. By the way, love your professionalism when it comes to the face-off. Always love your questions. Very well articulated. Tonight's a big night for you. Tonight's a big night for eLevate because, yes, formerly Bernal Empires, now under this new banner, you have an opportunity to play live in San Francisco for a big prize pool. But also you have an opportunity to defeat, with an asterisk, the Season 4 champion. How has Team eLevate prepared for tonight?
We've been working really hard this week. We've watched a lot of matches. We've gone back and watched RUlette's matches. We've gone back and we've watched Russian Meta, really trying to prepare for this match. And we're actually feeling very, very confident going into this that our preparation is going to help carry us through.
Now, I can see you guys have already picked maps. It's Steps, Himmelsdorf, Tiebreaker, of course, is Muravanka. How do you think that you guys starting on attack on Steps and then starting on attack on Himmelsdorf is going to work out against a team like RUlette?
We like to attack first. I think you can actually get a significant advantage from defending second, but our mentality as a team is always attack, attack, attack. So we like to get out there, we like to play aggressively and put our opponents on their heels. So I think that's going to give us another advantage tonight. Anything
you'd like to say to your fans, Zoid, before we kick this off?
Thank you guys for all the fantastic support you've given us over at www.elevate.gg. Our sponsors, our team, everybody really appreciates, and we love you guys.
Well put, Zoid. Best of luck. We'll see you on the battlefield.
Thank you.
How can you not be nice to that guy, right? Just crisp, clean.
I didn't even think he'd be able to answer being the attack, attack, attack. I thought it would, like, for some reason, like, I saw him pause for like half a second. I was like, oh, wait, oh, gosh, I hope I didn't just throw out a question that was, like, really weird prepared. Or something. But, dude, that guy is on target.
I really loved how he articulated that, too, of if you're on the attack, you feel they have more of the advantage because you're dictating what's happening on the battlefield. We can definitely agree 99% of the time, but a couple times when you're in that northwestern position on Himmelsdorf, you're kind of like, all right, man, smooth sailing, here we go. No Himmelsdorf tonight. Oh, excuse me. Yes, second map's going to be Himmelsdorf. Steps the first map. No Himmelsdorf yet tonight we've seen, but now we start match number 3.
Sorry, Josh. It was so perfect.
It was right there.
It was right there. Okay, but Steps is where it starts, which is where we see a lot of the kind of the mood for everything, the tempo, all of that, the way these teams are going to interact. That's all set right there in Steps. It carries over to Himmelsdorf if someone's on tilt, if someone's just feeling good to go, if things are shaky, if these guys are tense and not quite sure what to do against each other. That's where we see that play into Himmelsdorf. But Steps is the opportunity for eLevate to start so strong.
There we see the rosters for both teams. Roster changes did happen in eLevate earlier on in the season and before the season as well, or for RUlette rather. eLevate keeping a lot of those same guys from Bernal Empires and continuing to try to push into the finals happening in San Francisco. Match number 3, eLevate versus RUlette, battle number 1 on Steps. Randall, what do we have for tanks?
Well, we've got something fun. We've got 2 T-32s, Zone Delta and a Charioteer, Asriel and a 1390, Serenity 17 and his RU-251, Urtai in a GW Panther, and then Zagarman and M41 Walker Bulldog, a lineup which I think we can have tons of fun with just discussing that. RUlette, 2 T-32s, 1390, 3 RU-251s, and a 5916. Now, just to bring up a little history, Urtai has made some strong showings on Steps with his GW. He's made a direct fire tank destroyer shot that was impressive. He's made some connections at long range, which have, I mean, dictated the pace of the entire battle in a series. I mean, his performance in the past in this tank speaks for itself. With this, we're going to be seeing Zone Delta bringing the Charioteer, which is a decently fast-firing, decently hard-hitting, very accurate, high penetration, just a good gun on a tank which is serviceable for transporting it.
G-Forcer gets hit twice. In his tank, he's the only tank that is spotted. He'll continue to move. Some shots trading back from RUlette. They do not connect.
And I guess that's what G-Forcer's going to pay for trying to take that position. He's going to have to get a slightly better angle on his T-32 so that he can bounce shells coming from top limb in the northeast, and then also avoid taking any fire from tanks like Game is Rigged or Az in the RUs who are directly to his north. Now, what's Artie up to? That's what's going to be important for eLevate. Because while G-Forcer's taken some damage, maybe they're a little bit around 1,000 behind in hit points, but that's mostly due to the artillery piece. Urtai will only have 360 hit points. Everything else on this battlefield is so much healthier than that. And now shots out.
Shot fired.
That's towards, I believe, the northeast, where there's currently no tank from RUlette.
There's nothing there.
There was a tank there. It's a little blind fire, trying to, pressure a tank out of position. It's a little recon by fire in a way, you could say. If you see a large if you don't see a large explosion, you know you've got a direct hit. If you do, well, there's nothing there. Might as well not waste a lot
Movement
of
coming
time.
from RUlette now on the north side as Yurkamolo and Azpilicueta have crossed the tracks and continue to head towards the west. They're going to be followed by Toplum and Master Putin. Zagarman's the only tank close enough to try to scout what's happening from RUlette to that north.
And he's passive in a bush. This could be good for him, except when he leaves. I don't think he's expecting this at all. But when he discovers what's moving around to the north, he should leave very, very quickly. And just as Yurkamolo passes over, we're going to get a little bit of spotting. Everything's up. And Zagarman's a little late to react. He is not focused on that part of the map, completely caught off guard. He's going to back off, try and find a place where support can come in, but he does not realize what is directly to his east. He's backed out into another angle of fire, and he's actually going to take more damage sooner for it and go down.
Valera gets the final shot and kill against Zagarman. And eLevate down a tank and also down hit points.
Already zeroing, though, on the north, and you're seeing the press from eLevate. If we see some good connections from Urtai, that could bring things back into balance towards somewhere where eLevate can work with. And with shots out, looks like 507 into vacuum.
Yep.
That could do a little bit, but that's not the kill we're looking for. We need more than that in order for eLevate to get control of this battlefield back.
Especially against one of these 1390s They can do so much burst fire damage getting behind these eLevate tanks. Game is rigged, it's in a great spot. Master Putin is waiting on the reload. And now, eLevate has put some tanks on the flag cap, forcing RUlette to aggress and deal with the attacking tankers here. Another shot against Zone Delta for 240, and Azpilicueta is going to take the low road to try to get behind Static and G-Forcer.
And Urtai is just fired. He's not going to have a shell available to deal with anything that's going to engage on him. Zone Delta is going to have to defend the artillery for long enough. Although Yurkamolo, nice surprise approach, is able to get a free shell into Zone Delta, but he's going to burn.
And Serenity 17 is able to dodge one shot coming from Azpilicueta, and Static takes down Vacuum. Yurkamolo's still low. He falls back, no longer burning. G-Forcer is low on top of the flag cap. Serenity 17 finally goes down. Zone Delta takes down Yurkamolo.
And we're seeing some nice things coming out of the Charioteer. We're seeing some nice things coming out of Urtai in that artillery piece. But is it going to be enough damage against something so light and fast as what RUlette has brought to the battlefield? Just a little bit more damage out there, and you're seeing at 3,000 hit points versus 1,810, and 3 tanks left on the battlefield for eLevate. One of those is an artillery piece. This does not look good for them.
Urtai still winning on the reload. Zone Delta one shot away from falling. He takes down Azpilicueta, who peeked around the corner at the wrong time.
And Urtai doesn't look like he's going to get enough damage out to pick up any kind of a kill. He's going to wait on the reload. Azrael looks for game is rigged. He could get the kill, and Zone Delta's going to finish him off. I love the combo of these two tanks. One puts out a lot of damage very fast. One of them hits very hard, very fast.
And Topola moves against Azrael 90. He shoots against the rock. Can't get the final shot there, but he's able to hit Azrael, who's now on the reload. Zone Delta could move in, but it's a guaranteed death if he gets hit by Topola. And he's waiting. Azrael 90, perhaps one shot away from staying alive or falling, depending on the roll. Zone Delta's waiting for Urtai takes a big hit for 226, and Master Putin gets the kill against him.
Yeah, he was waiting to try and just stop Topola, to get that shell on him once he came around the rock. But he didn't. He held tight, waited for the rest of his team to move up and make something happen, and that's where you just rely on teamwork to find some kind of success. Now, Azrael's going to be able to move around west, but he's spotted. Topola sees him. He's going to start backing off. Zone Delta doesn't have the hit points or armor to use any kind of a hold on to his advantage. He will take fire, and he will go down if he exposes himself to those tanks in the north. Azrael is going to be able to move around on a flank. That's where eLevate can bring this one back. But Azrael has to be very careful because he is spotted now. Just took some fire, and the second one is going to hit his gun, actually. So he's surprisingly living much longer than he should have, but still, he will go down.
And Topola.
Ooh, HE not during the shot.
And he did not fire. He sees Zone Delta. Final tank left alive. Lines up the shot and the kill. Barely staying alive, though, in that one-on-one. And RUlette will take the first battle point, and will continue on steps in battle 2.
Well, I put a lot of faith into eLevate at the beginning of that, but you saw mistakes being made all across the board. T-32s, when getting aggressive, just started to move forward, didn't stop, which is in many ways not a bad idea, but more the way they moved forward and didn't stop. You saw people going up and over. I think Zagarman going down, of course, at the beginning was huge, but then G-Forcer and Static, them being so very far north of the rest of the team, weren't receiving any direct fire support. Artillery doesn't really reload fast enough to support that and to make that work. So eLevate really threw a bunch of tanks away in that battle. They weren't supporting each other. They were trying to be all over the place and cover everything, but they need to be more aware of their surroundings in order to execute on that. There was a lack of map awareness from individual players. I'm going to point out Zagarman in the M41. If you were more situationally aware, you could put him out on that flank and expect him to stay alive, because he'll have planned escape routes as a scout. He'll have a goal in mind for something for him to accomplish, and also a plan to execute.
Tactfully aware, yes. Situational awareness.
He lacked those, and so he instead of maybe picking a safer escape route where he gets into a low ground, goes a little forward and loops out of everything, then returning to his own team, he backs out into an open area, which is covered almost all the time by any team on steps that's on defense. So a panic decision starts the decline in that battle.
Chain reaction that's not good. Battle number 2. Still anybody's game
Of course,
here.
of course.
RUlette is up 1-0 against eLevate. What do we have for tanks?
All right, a little bit of a variation here. T32 Charioteer, 1390, 2 RU-251s, a T54 Lightweight, and an M44 played by Zoid. Urtai now being in a light tank instead of an Artie, and Zoid now jumping into that Artie. T32s, 2 of them, 1390, 3 RU-251s, and a 5916 for RUlette. RUlette has a mobile lineup, strong anchor, and that 5916 is great for killing Artie and also finishing off wounded light tanks. That Charioteer, high performer last battle. Great damage output. Not great at soaking damage. Not super fast, but you can see it's keeping up with light tanks. Well, we'll see.
RUlette heading slightly south in the northeastern valley here. Master Putin did a little bit of a scouting run to the south. Nothing spotted, and RUlette as the defenders will wait for eLevate to pull the trigger. Now they could do so over on the western side. That's where the majority of the eLevate tanks have gone to, where Static and G-Forcer are heading up the No Man's Road. But any type of loss, especially at the very beginning, can really set you off course, tilt you, unless you shake it off, move on, and focus on the next battle. eLevate's done that in the past, so has RUlette. That's what makes them professional, but still tough to overcome that first obstacle of that loss.
I mean, you've kind of set the tone in a way. You know, it's the way you've started your day. You wake up on the right side of the bed, you know? If you don't, your whole day can be ruined, but, you know.
It can definitely be more, you can have more fatigue by playing from behind. And that's what teams try to avoid.
You have to get out of that mentality.
Yeah, trying to catch up.
You can't allow yourself to think that you're behind so far. You know, it's just the first battle. It's not decided yet. The whole tone isn't set.
Yeah,
they can't sit back and defend. This is not 742. This is not a format where getting one win is massive in such a way. You have a lot of options. And now,
first shot does connect on vacuum for
from
174. Another shot for 232. eLevate placing those tanks on the western flag cap and have pushed towards the north with Zone Delta and Zoid. And they're able to create that concentrated fire against the defensive positioning of RUlette right now.
And now Zoid is reloaded. Once a tank is spotted, we're going to see more shots out perhaps, and there's Cap. So between artillery, Urtai on Cap, and the RU-251, and a few other things actually adding complications. G-Forcer in a forward position is awesome. I love Serenity making scout runs in the backfield. I've got Zone Delta on a high ground. Actually, Zone Delta is a perfect tank to be up here. The HE rounds are not so bad from that tank. High penetration. Actually, probably some of the most effective you could expect to have in a tier 8 tank that is at least a tank destroyer and that is also maneuverable enough. It's really the advantage. Shot out from Artie, by the way.
And does not connect. Shot right past Vacuum, who now peeks up and looks for another target against eLevate.
Yeah, by the way, I think this is an important time to note the difficulties as an artillery player. So
Valera hit, Valera tracked at 318. And now he pulls back.
Okay. Anyways, I thought that was the
another shot from Zoid for 190, not a direct hit. The fire continues, Randall, and Urtai finally gets hit for 231.
It took long enough. They had to put someone forward to get the spotting, but the hit points, look at it. eLevate is in the lead. They brought an artillery piece even. Now it's going to start to even up a little bit if eLevate starts taking more fire, especially if someone can sneak one more into Urtai. But down
Zoid
south,
fires.
Serenity 17.
Oh, so close to Vacuum.
Now,
does not connect.
We have a fight brewing. Serenity 17, Azrael versus Yurkamolo. Game is rigged in the south. Yurkamolo has taken the most damage so far, but Serenity, it's racking up, especially with an M41 Walker Bulldog. Game is rigged, being so close by. One more shell. Yurkamolo is loaded.
York looking for it.
And
the beautiful slight movement from Serenity 17.
Exactly. He just barely jukes out of the way, and that hits track. No real damage. Azrael now has the damage to get the win. But what has happened in the north in the meantime during this fight?
It was a little bit slow. Vacuum took a hit from G-Forcer. Another shot from Zoid does not connect, but not any big engagements to counter what was happening to the south.
I love this. Look, Static shows up just in time, but Static ruining me, killing me here, man. Misses the shot.
Tough. And here comes Static pushing up.
He's going to get the follow-up.
Ready to land another one. And he gets it, and he gets the kill.
All right, so that's no tanks lost in the west for eLevate, 2 lost for RUlette. Hit points, though. Only about 600 difference, and it's going to start getting closer, especially since Static is now out and alone against an autoloader and a consistent fire tank. And he bounces.
Worst time to bounce.
Worst.
Vacuum takes another hit for 211. He's starting to get low. Zoid knows it. Zone Delta knows it. But they have not aggressed yet. Still using that flag cap to dictate what's happening from the defenders. And now Serenity 17 is going to bring up the rear guard of eLevate to get close and possibly pounce on the remainder of RUlette. And here is Topolium, who's in trouble from Azrael 90, but the tables may turn here. Shot fired from Vacuum does
Can
not
a shell
connect.
land? So Azpil may get the connecting shell. No, he is not able to get that as Vacuum is engaged upon. Azrael has 2 shells left. If he can get any of that damage
Zoid finally takes down Vacuum, who had just a little bit of health left. And now Master Putin's going to cruise up and take a big hit for 452. Zone Delta shuts him down. 18 seconds left on the base capture. Azrael 90 is engaged against Valera. He has 1 shot left in his tank. G-Forcer will push up and try to get between them. Zoid is destroyed, though, by Azpilicueta with 1 minute and 20 seconds left for the attackers to continue. Serenity 17 goes down.
This is starting to even up, actually. If Az can get a few more connections and keep this position in his favor, we could see Putin come in, or Valera even, and try and bring this back towards him. Putin needs to get Azrael. If he can't
get that 1 shot around the corner.
He really needs to.
There goes Valera Desolator. G-Forcer gets the final kill. 58 seconds left. Master Putin has 3 shots. Azpilicueta, he is low on hit points, and he's on the
tracked in the open. G-Forcer gets the connection. He is on the reload. 3, 2, 1, one more shot out.
And he gets it. 1 tank remains. It's Master Putin. 44 seconds left for him to dodge all of Elevate's tanks for RUlette to still get the victory.
They're getting on the cap. Are they going to be able to make that timing? That doesn't seem like... And he's spotted. Okay, he's out in the open. He needs to get back in the trench. With that, he can put some distance. But G-Forcer is going to be able to make sure that he isn't able to leave the trench at all. Urtai is going to be able to make chase, but if he just stays in the low ground, he might be able to do it. He's got 648 hit points, and he's going to make his way west.
12 seconds left. Urtai trying to cut him off. Pushing forward. Looks for the shot on the move. Can't get in the dirt. 7 seconds left. Master Putin still on the run. Urtai is hit to the front. Master Putin needs another shot to take him down. He does. 1 second left, and RUlette, as the defenders, gets the battle victory. Barely, thanks to Master Putin staying alive.
That's good driving. That's all it is. It's really just good driving. He didn't make too many mistakes. He went into the low ground as best he could. It's not a perfect cover, though. Of course, you can't just stop down there and still guarantee a win. If he had stopped, he would have lost. If he'd gone maybe east, different situation, but his going west and Urtai's inability to make the connecting shells, that's the win right there. RUlette barely hanging on and cinching the win. But eLevate, you have to give it to him. I like the strategy. There's too many mistakes, though. There's too many missed shells. There's too many missed opportunities as well. Other risks being taken, though. Risks that aren't paying off sometimes.
Well, I can appreciate the performance of Zoid in the artillery piece at M44, but he was only 4 for 7, 664 damage with the tank kill. So not bad. The performance is not bad, but RUlette is working around the tank lineups coming from Zone Delta and the rest of his crew, coming from Zoid and the rest of his crew, and that is what's hurting him.
Yeah, I think that also an important one is the fight that happened in the south, the 2-on-2, which was great for eLevate. It was great. They come out ahead, they get 2 kills, they don't lose a single tank. From there, they could start rolling their opponent. But reinforcements from RUlette arrive, and with a T-54 lightweight that showed up for backup, staying behind without support, he gets caught out and taken down. So where you had a really nice trade, you lost hit points, yeah, but you didn't lose tanks. It's great, but then you just throw a tank away, and he doesn't even get the damage necessary. It's little things like that where eLevate makes these gains, 1 step forward, 1 step back. That's all it is.
Now they're going to be on the defense, where RUlette will be on the attack. Things can still change. RUlette is up 2-0 right now against eLevate in battle number 3. What do we have for tanks?
All right, we have 2 T-32s, 1390, 2 RU-251s, a T-54 lightweight, and a T-37 for eLevate, so no Artie this time. But RUlette's going to bring the Artie this time. 2 IS-3s, T-32, 1390, 2 RU-251s, and the AMX 13F3, played by Vacuum. Vacuum has been putting up some serious numbers in that tank. Great damage. Even when he doesn't perform all that well, he still does a reasonable amount of damage. He doesn't hurt his team. He's not too much of a burden, because everyone else, even around the Artie, and what Artie just being on the battlefield forces your opponent to think, RUlette plays an Artie piece very well. You have to give him that.
Movement to the east coming from RUlette. As Piliqueta will take point. Looking for any open targets, especially for...
But Zone Delta seems to be
Vacuum
maybe
and
one of
Artie.
the best choices for a tank, but he is spotted now. He knows what's up, and he's going to back down into kind of a low ground where we should see support returning.
Valera takes a big hit against Zone Delta.
Zone Delta's
for
getting
232.
greedy. That's greedy. Zone
Trims
Delta
fire.
just peeked out against a bunch of tanks that there's so many potential tanks that could have been there, right? There's all of the IS-3s, the T-32, RU-251s that could have been waiting to fire on him right then and there, and he peeks out against one of them. Great, you get some spotting. There's some little follow-up damage, but that was a T-54 lightweight that was asking to get ammo wrecked. He's facing sideways. He's not where his armor isn't, and while you have a little bit of a hold down, I'm getting a little bit spicy with eLevate right now. Just little things that you're sitting there right next to the right answer, and you think there's more to it, but
There's a lot on their minds. The oversight can definitely happen. RUlette will take any advantage they can, and now they're going to slowly push up to the defenders who have taken that northeastern valley.
And RUlette's just making the right plays. Their lineup is an important part of this. If RUlette just plays the way that their lineup is designed to, uses Artie to support a very heavy IS-3 T-32 push, they're going to eventually roll right over eLevate. eLevate has to play this smart. They have to bring in the flanks. They have to bring in tanks to the backfield while still somehow holding in the north and stopping those T-32s and IS-3s. It's very difficult, but we have Zagarman, Azrael, and Urtai all still out of the fight right now, where RUlette is able to focus much more of their force in their attack.
Yurkomolo takes another hit to the side. Game is rigged. Valera Desolator are with him as a slightly body block the low IS-3. RUlette is continually looking for an opening. There was one shot from Valera towards Serenity, but that shot did not connect. Looking for another one.
And now Zagarman in the T-37 is moving around to the flank. That T-37, if it can get into the backfield, could disrupt the artillery, bring focus away from the north and back towards the south, but you can see that RUlette has a number of tanks waiting somewhere between their artillery and the rest, but it looks like they're going to make the call to push forward, grouping up everyone in preparation for their attack as Zagarman gets into a position where he could try to find his way into the backfield. But you're looking at the damage right now, 7,610 hit points for eLevate. RUlette has 6,341, so there is an advantage for eLevate in hit points.
Valera hit again for 277.
And now Az is spotted, fires at Zagarman, does not get the connection, and that's going to open up an opportunity for Zagarman to pressure Artie, and Artie's going to have to get into proper cover. He's still going to have some angles on the north, but he's been able to avoid going down for now and may be able to put out just a little bit more damage as Zagarman just rushes into the backfield. There are two tanks he can take down. Valera Desolator will be the first target.
Fires back. One more shot, Valera goes down. Serenity 17 gets that kill. He fires again towards Yurkomolo. He could get another one. It's a bounce against the IS-3. Waiting for it. Another shot and the game is rigged.
He's just going to take free damage while he can get it. And that's going to be the press from eLevate. Look at the hit points. Huge advantage for eLevate. They have taken this from what looked like it was going to be a slaughter to a situation where they held, stayed firm, and made it happen. The flank was fantastic. Zagarman leading the way, and right behind him, you had Azrael.
Urtai and Zagarman now focused on Master Putin. He takes a big shot to the front. Static and Azrael now pressing in. That's another tank down for RUlette. eLevate looking to sweep up the rest of the tanks still alive. There goes Piliqueta. The fires are crisp, they're clean, they're landing on their intended targets, but they have got to continue this type of form into the next battle if they're still going to hold a chance against RUlette. Vacuum, last tank left alive. Easy cleanup here for eLevate.
Is it going to be an ace? That's the question.
Just keeping all their tanks alive, they could do it. There's, a big shot from Vacuum against Urtai for 277, and Azrael 90 gets the kill and the ace. All tanks still left alive, all tanks destroyed for RUlette, as eLevate puts their first point on the board.
Now that is a place where you can see a team that was previously maybe losing a little bit of heart, saying that, wow, RUlette's playing really well today. They've gotten much better than we expected. All of our study is not doing as much good or something. That kind of mindset that you could have seen players start to drift towards. A win that's an ace like that, that's where eLevate starts to get their confidence back. Everyone feels good. There's no one's getting, suspicious or antsy or
salty.
salty especially. No one's digging those salt mines.
Well, the trigger that was pulled was pretty radical. I mean, RUlette is trying to bump up, trying to find an opening against eLevate. They can't. They keep getting pressured and attacked every time they poke their heads up and going, hey, you guys see anything yet? Great heads up, tactical awareness, situational awareness coming from eLevate. Almost a 180 and for what had happened.
You know what it is? The IS-3s didn't do any damage at all. 0 damage. They fired 4 times from your Kamolo, 3 times from Game is Rigged. Game is Rigged, hit something, didn't pen. Your Kamolo didn't hit anything at all. That's a big part of this. They couldn't hit target. So really, that was a game that was, I think, dictated mostly by the mistake. IS-3 should never be able to get in that situation, start taking damage like that, and not be able to return it. That's just a huge blunder on their part.
Yeah.
So really, I can't.
There's no recovery.
Yeah,
There's no
you
recovery.
got to give it to eLevate. They played very well, but then you look at the damage dealt by some tanks, and you say, "Wow, how did you manage to do 0 damage in that battle?" That is the kind of thing that crushes a team. Maybe you look at the post-game stats and you say, "What were you doing, IS-3s?" IS-3s don't have an answer. They just go, "I don't know. I wasn't where I was told to be."
I was trying to get there, man, but couldn't get there in time.
I did what you told me to do.
Battle number 4, final battle to take place on steps in this series. eLevate 1. RUlette has 2 points. What do we have for tanks?
2 T-32s, 1390, 2 RU-251s, and a T-54 lightweight. Oh yeah, T-37 as well. RUlette's going to bring a T-32, 1390, 4 RU-251s, and the AMX-13F3 by Vacuum yet again. Let's see if they can execute correctly this time with their artillery piece. They need it to do a lot of damage. They need also everyone else to do their job very well and deal damage.
Opening movement coming from RUlette in the blue. They're going on the western side.
And same thing for eLevate. It looks like their opening move is going to be west side, best side. As Zigarman's going to lead the way in the T-37, probably making the obvious scout run. Behind him, we're going to see Urtai. Okay. Remember what we saw from Simple Tankers, was it? Not long ago? Where we had tanks like Urtai hiding in a little hull-down position. Hull-down being a place you can hide your hull from things.
The etymology of the word does make sense, Randall. But
Thank you, Josh. I'm glad you could bring that up.
For maybe some new players, it is a tank tactic to where your hull is actually behind cover, but your turret is sticking up far enough to deal damage to return fire.
And beyond that, there's something called turret down, which is your turret is even under cover, but the commander's hatch, which the commander has usually a periscope, some kind of optics in that, allowing him to see just with that little piece of hardware. For example, you could see there's a small commander's hatch on Zigarman's T-37, just high enough to the point where if you got in the right angle, at the right gradient, you could spot some stuff without taking any fire at all.
eLevate is taking some fire, but RUlette is the team that took more damage in this engagement so far. They're still looking for an opening. G-Forcer is continuing to punish him. He gets the back shot against Topolum.
And he's playing it aggressively in a T-32, something that you don't often see because RUlette didn't bring a lineup which is in a situation it can really meet what eLevate's done and win. They can try, yes, but it's... Where's Vacuum? He needs to be making these shells count, actually.
Oh, he's trying to line up something here as he peeks up. Waiting for his reticle to get smaller. That's a missed shot from Static, but it was close.
Must it be... Maybe Static is the tank? He's the only thing lit on the battlefield right now.
Possibly. Fires towards Static.
104.
It's a small connection, but it's something.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. I mean, you can't hope for much more. I mean, he's been tracked. It's easier to track him in the future. And there was the chance you could damage a critical module crew member, forcing him to utilize one of his repair kits or medical kits in order to bring to resolve that issue. So now Static, knowing he took fire and also knowing the general direction of artillery, where that shell landed is a marker of what
Another shot
options.
Coming from Vacuum. Looks like that one did not connect. And now RUlette's bugging out of there. Most of their tanks are heading towards the south. 4 minutes and 3 seconds. RUlette is on the attack.
All right, they don't have a lot of time left. They need to get to the other side of the map, get on that cap, start the pressure. If they can do that, then maybe they can catch eLevate off guard. But eLevate has a lot of information. And some of that information will be there are no tanks here anymore. Why are there no tanks here anymore? Well, because they've gone to the other side of the map. Well, let's get over there first. It's pretty much going to be the call on comms. You're going to see people start shifting over. Maybe Zone Delta is on his way as he's just in reverse, ready to go forward if necessary, if it's just a feint. But you have also members of the team preparing for this kind of motion. RUlette, well, I just caught you at a bad time, didn't I? You're tracking yourself going off a hill. It's a very tricky hill.
Now, the victory for RUlette obviously is very impactful, but think about what's the next map, Himmelsdorf, and guess who's defending first? RUlette is. So 2 defensive matches on Himmelsdorf, if they're able to win this next battle, that is a very strong position for RUlette to be in.
Oh, Zigarman, how did you take so much damage? Wait, did Artie just got a shell on Zigarman, didn't it? That must have been it.
Shot fired from Valera as he pushes up on the flag cap. RUlette's staking their claim right now as they're going to try to overmatch on RUlette. Azpilicueta on top of him, get the double hit right after Valera landed a shot. And now here's the return fire coming from eLevate. Can RUlette get out of there in time? Toplum and Yorkamolo are not able to get the second connection. RUlette dodges another shot, but the engagement continues as eLevate's going to pounce on top of Azpilicueta.
And a nice shell from Artie onto Static, focusing the heavy tank so that later in this fight, it's going to be easier to take him down. But in the meantime, everyone else from RUlette can worry about focusing down the lighter, less well-armored light tanks. So Static is going to eventually be a target, but there we go. Game is rigged, finally getting a kill and finishing off RUlette, taking that gun off the battlefield. Elsewhere, by the way, 2 T-32s are facing off 1v1. I'm going to go follow that.
I'll stay with the main forces here. Azpilicueta, oh, big shot, 332 coming from Artie.
And this fight, if it can slow down a little bit, that's going to allow for Vacuum to become more and more relevant as he's able to maybe wipe a tank off the battlefield, especially if someone doesn't play it right and just sits still too long or walks right into some place that Vacuum hoped someone else
would. Look at Master Putin. He's waiting for the reload, and this is enough shots to clean up Static and even take down Serenity.
I mean, if the focus fire comes in correctly, that's going to change
Vacuum
things.
will take down Static just fine on his own. Master Putin is now loaded, and we're going to see RUlette unleash hell upon the remainder of eLevate. Master Putin is now pushing up against Zone Delta. He's going to get the first push. Zone Delta trying to body block, doing a great job, but Zone Delta doesn't have much hit points. Master Putin gets unloaded upon by eLevate, and Master Putin takes down Serenity, but beautiful job by
G-Forcer sneaks a shell in from out west and is able to get a kill. That's a place where we could see things come back.
Possibly, especially as Azpilicueta turns the corner, though. And he's waiting for the reload, and he gets it. G-Forcer is in trouble.
Nope, not able to make those shells at long range.
Especially with Vacuum with so much hit points. 269. Long range, Azpilicueta can't connect, but Toplum can. And RUlette now leads the series 3-1 against eLevate. And this is a bit of that warning that I brought up about Himmelsdorf. RUlette will be defending on Himmelsdorf in the next 2 battles.
And you know, this is actually a reverse of what we've seen last time these guys fought. So on Steps last time, we had a 3-1, but it went in favor of eLevate. eLevate winning 3 of those, and then RUlette winning 1. But now we have RUlette winning 3, and then eLevate taking 1. The 1 was an ace to their credit, but RUlette's been able to get the wins, and that's what really counts, isn't it?
Yes, and Vacuum really counted in that Artie performance. You take a look at his score, 1,970, top damage dealer for his team, 5 for 7 with his shots. That is how to play Artie, and that's how you control the battlefield with that type of tank.
Exactly. Making the shots count, hitting the correct targets. The T-32 was crucial because it's very difficult for everyone else to try and play slower games with. When things slow down, T-32s start to shine. To counter that, you bring in artillery, you bring in tank destroyers, things like that. But tank destroyers have a lot of pros and cons that are difficult to weigh. Can be very difficult to bring and hold down and like that. And Artie, well, it's kind of a force multiplier. You can put shells exactly where you want them anywhere on the battlefield with some little conditions here and there. But that's where Vacuum comes in. He could have been putting his assistance towards perhaps the T-32 that they were going to put in the west. That was Game is Rigged. If Game is Rigged had been overmatched, hypothetically, you would have seen Vacuum probably put his support onto tanks that were fighting Game is Rigged. Because at that point, you have an overmatch on the other side of the map. Vacuum doesn't need to help as much there. He can, if you want to completely waste maybe a little bit of efficiency by destroying tanks a little too quick, where you're going to win anyway, and you are going to lose on the other side, and that loss could be more damaging than this win on the other side could be helpful. So it's a huge balancing act with Artie.
Oh, definitely. And that balancing act is what keeps players on their toes, both as the attackers or as the defenders, both on the side of the arty and against the arty. And that type of dichotomy sometimes for teams is how they deal with that. Do they send the M41 to go chase it down and kill it? Or do they continue to be mobile? Do they not get stuck in one place? It adds that dynamic onto the battlefield that's a lot of fun to watch, and it keeps tanks moving.
It keeps everyone honest, too. You have to play a certain way when Arty's on the battlefield. If you don't, you can be, I like to call lazy about your positioning. You can account for only direct fire tanks. And when people start to forget Arty is a thing, they start taking less and less effective cover. Now, that does open up a lot of options, but it... I think players start to forget, and then when Arty shows up, they're not prepared. And so if you always practice and play and remember that there could have been an Arty on the battlefield, when it comes to the game and someone finally does bring that Arty, as long as you practiced for an Arty, then you're fine. But a lot of teams, I think, definitely because of 742,
yes,
have kind of moved away from play styles that accounted for Arty very well and have moved towards play styles that accounted for direct fire and crossfires and things that
it's
are
almost like you
difficult.
have to go back and find that ancient relic
yes.
of who knew how to play with Arty.
The scroll of MacG. He's written thousands of years ago how to play around an artillery piece.
And we're seeing that knowledge come to play again in 7x54 in Season 5. Here we go. Battle number 5 on Himmelsdorf. eLevate is down 1 to RUlette's 3. Randall, what do we have for tanks?
All right, we've got two 5100s, two IS-3s, KV-5, IS-T29 from eLevate, RUlette, 3 5100s, 3 IS-3s, and a T-37. But we've got a pause, and that's going to be a call for a disconnect, unfortunate. We're going to have to return to garage and get back into game once whichever player disconnects reconnects.
Now, because it's the first time that we're seeing Himmelsdorf tonight, this is going to be very different compared to Steps and Prohorovka and Ruinberg due to the closed nature of the amount of cover that is available for all these different tanks. So Arty's not going to be an option. And the opening movements have really shifted from 7x42 to 7x54 because the defenders 9 times out of 10 will stay in the northwest position. And so the attackers have to figure out what's the best strategy to break it. We've seen teams use the one line effectively, from long-range firing into moving up at the same time. We've seen pincer attacks. We've seen hill play try to weaken some opponents that were not cognizant of those hill shots landing towards their tank. So you see teams bring slight little differences, little nuances or little tricks that have helped them at the beginning. But when teams start to learn those tricks, it becomes more and more difficult, to the point that we saw KV-5s being physically used to block off one of the paths for a team.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to something that happened in Clan Wars a long time ago. I think a lot of you might have out there who are from Clan Wars remember the Mouse strats, tier 10, German heavy tank. Kind of plays much of the same role in Clan Wars at tier 10 is in this format with the KV-5 for tanking damage and just being a large health pool. You can literally block off every entrance to the North Cap if you have enough. No one can enter. And, well, with KV-5s, you're trying to accomplish much the same, but they're not tall enough. They're not big enough to make a real wall. You really have just created a very nice hold down for an IS-3. Very nice.
Occasionally, yes. And for them to push up and have that cover and those shots against them on the flag cap, true. But we saw an attempt for them to push the other side while the enemy team was engaging on the KV-5s. The rest of the team was trying to move into a better position to aggress. Was it ultimately effective? No, but that type of next level strategy is what builds even more strategies that are effective. Here we go once again, battle number 5. Let's go ahead and tell the audience what the tanks are one more time, Randall.
Of course, sir. 2 5100s, 2 IS-3s, a KV-5 IS, and a T-29 for eLevate, as they will be the red team attacking. Now, blue defending, RUlette will, as before, have 3 5100s, 3 IS-3s, and a T-37. The T-37, I doubted it at first, being a light tank on a map such as Himmelsdorf, but it has proven to be a good choice. It has...
RUlette is moving south.
Oh, that's an aggressive opening.
They've passed the Charlie line, they've passed the Delta line. Where is eLevate headed?
They're heading west, and that could mean a clash in the southwest, which would eventually turn out to be something around, that or, Juliet 2-3, if they continue that way. But as you can see from the way both teams are currently moving, this could actually turn out poorly for RUlette if they can't group up properly or do not have a proper reaction prepared for when eLevate pops around this corner.
RUlette Desolator now heading towards the north, while Azpilicueta and Toplum are still further
Zone
south.
Delta is spotted, but he spots Valera and Toplum all at the same time. Also, slightly to the northeast, we have G-Forcer engaging with Toplum in a hold-down position, and Zagarman with him. Between the two of them, gonna have a rough time. And also Serenity on the very far flank is gonna be able to bring in some support fire on tanks that are spotted. And he's firing right now.
Big shot from Toplum against G-Forcer for 377. Big bounce off the front of the IS-3. Toplum ready and willing for another shot to pierce the hull or the turret of G-Forcer, who's in that T-29.
And Serenity is trying to fire on tanks like Valera and Yerkomolo, but he just can't get the connection. Could not find the target properly. And he's going to go on reload. Now RUlette, slightly in the south, going to try and box out Game is Rigged. That tank being very annoying right now. Would be, given enough time, able to just take down whatever he liked and just be a huge problem for eLevate. eLevate's going to react to that. And now we've got a situation that I haven't really seen since 7x42, since the old format, where we had the south versus the north very spread out like this. I mean, nothing has happened like this in the past.
It's that ancient knowledge again from two veteran teams.
The ancient scroll of
Trying to figure this out.
Teaching us the ways of the past.
Well, Toplum is in a great position to hold this Gulf line. He is supported by Toplum, who's close by.
RUlette crosses G-line, and there's enough spotting right now. Game is Rigged can get the proxy 50 meters, and, well, you can spot anything. So RUllette's going to proxy Game is Rigged. I'm expecting that maybe a tank from eLevate G-Forcer might not be a bad idea. Could, yep, and that looks like that's what he's going to go for. Peek out and maybe get the kill onto Game is Rigged, because support fire will be coming from the west. And now G-Forcer peeks. Is it covered? Does not get the connection.
There's a shot from G-Forcer. Toplum's still looking for another connection down the Gulf line.
And no one was there to punish G-Forcer for that. He's able to return safely to where he was.
Serenity 17 has moved past the hillside. He's further in the north. And there's another shot towards Static from Toplum. That one does not connect. Azpilicueta still looking for an opening. Azrael 90 and Zone Delta could be pushing forward. They are. Azpilicueta needs to look to his right. He's not looking, and he gets a free shot. Zone Delta free shot, but return fire from Yerkomolo actually punishes that damage that Zone Delta dealt against Azpilicueta. Heads up play by Yerkomolo there. G-Forcer takes down Game is Rigged.
A distraction, maybe an all-in. RUlette and Zagarman are going north. Serenity is also to the north. That could be 3 tanks going to the cap from eLevate. Perhaps a screen even, while the rest in the south hold. And as the fight goes out, they're trying to make it last as long as possible or bring this flank in. It depends on timing and, well, whatever they're calling for, because this could be a lot of things. It's very spread out and looks chaotic until it's going to all come together in maybe 30, 40 seconds. 30, 40 seconds, I'm making the call. This is all going to look clean.
Master Putin's now pushing in to try to help out Toplum. Yerkomolo gets a kill against Zone Delta. RUlette returns fire against Vacuum, and Master Putin cleans up Azrael 90, but there goes Toplum. RUlette gets the kill. Master Putin now dancing in the center, waiting for that last shot to connect as Azpilicueta is going to push up. Yerkomolo takes a big hit against RUlette, 430. He is punished because of it. Azpilicueta has 2 tanks he can readily kill with those 4 remaining shots. RUlette is one of them, trying to line up the hit. As Zagarman and G-Forcer are turning the corner, Azpilicueta gets the 1 shot. 3 shots remain for his 5100, and still on the run is Master Putin for the reload in his 5100 to get away from these eLevate tanks. eLevate, 2 minutes and 20 seconds for them to either destroy the 3 remaining RUlette tanks or to go for the flag cap. Serenity 17 is low. He's out of the fight, still on the reload as well.
But Azpil is reloaded. He's got 2 shells, and G-Forcer is able to connect at least once with him. No critical damage there. And he might be able to regroup with Master Putin.
Master Putin is going to be out in the open. Static's going to see him. Zagarman's going to see him.
But they seem to be focused on a different target.
And Master Putin gets 1 shot against Zagarman after he took a hit. And that's it for Azpilicueta. RUlette Desolator is taken down by Serenity 17. Minute and 45 seconds. 1 tank is on the flat cap. That's G-Forcer. Static's going to be able to turn the corner and get a nice solid shot against Azpilicueta. And Zagarman can push up, get the kill. Oh, missed shot from Static. Hit the ruins, not even close.
Although Az will be in the open for very brief moments, which could... he's going to take 404 as he gets around a corner. He's at now 61, and then Putin is at 354. And Az is actually still lit, but he's going to start turning around.
Going to turn this. He's going to turn the corner and get the kill. He gets it. It's only 1 tank now, Master Putin. He's going to reset on the flag cap and then survive for 1 minute and 5 seconds. He survived for 30 seconds.
He's going to parallel park.
Last time.
That's actually a decent parallel park drop. You forget, tanks are very good at parallel parking.
Those tracks.
I mean, that's what they're for, man.
13 seconds left. Looks like Master Putin's throwing it.
Oh, it's really
throwing his hat in the ring. Saying, I'll get you next time, Static. Static turns the corner, gets the kill, and eLevate puts another point on the board, further closing the gap between them and RUlette, as RUlette's still in the lead, 3-2.
It's only 3-2. One more game, and that's where eLevate can start getting momentum back. I think that was chaotic. That's what I'm thinking at the very end of this. That was chaos, because I've never seen anyone try to execute an attack quite like that. That's the kind of thing where you look at it and you go, yeah, that worked, but that was difficult to follow, eLevate. And well, if it's difficult for us to follow, think about what RUlette was seeing on the battlefield.
Well, I think it put eLevate on the back foot when they realized that RUlette had pushed so further south, but they were able to slowly punish that.
But like, look at when we saw Urtai and his battle buddy move around through the D line in the north. I thought that was going to be a cap fast. I thought they said, all right, this is like the old format. We're going to distract them, and then we're going to cap them out. Now, the new format, you do have a little bit longer cap timer. You have a few more points on the battlefield, so probably wouldn't work out in the long run. The cap wouldn't work. So it ended up being Serenity moving around from the very far north, like incredibly far north, through the enemy cap in order to get into position, with another group moving through slightly north, then moving around, coming back through field, which, if you think about what eLevate did, it was absurd, and somehow it worked. I think it's a lot of chaos, I think, that eLevate was navigating through in order to get that victory.
Chaos, yes, but if you're able to control that chaos, it's still a win. Let's move on into battle number 6 between eLevate and RUlette. RUlette is still up 3-2. What do we have for tanks, Randall?
Well, we have 2 5100s, 3 IS-3, T-32, T-37 for eLevate, and then RUlette on their last defense, 3 5100s, 2 IS-3s, KV-3, and a T-29. Now, I think what you were looking for was life finds a way.
The chaos theory. Yes, sir. Well played. Yeah. Top of Blair Desolator heading down to the south. Similar approach coming from RUlette, but a little bit more guarded, hanging closer to the courtyard.
And this is a split from eLevate. They're going to be sending Zagarman the Scout west, supported by Urtai and Static. Static being in an IS-3. Might just kind of work to hold things off. And then, wow, that's an aggressive opening. Serenity's on the
shots
hill,
fired. Zone Delta hit for 405. Master Putin hit for 371.
That was what I was waiting for. Okay, so an opening, common opening, is to counter the position Zone Delta currently is in, and anyone else that would like to move up the 8 line. They line up. The timing is right. If
Valera's hit. He's tracked 617.
Now it's biting them. So it works both ways a little bit. If you want to deal with that position, you're exposing yourself to enemy fire, and of course, if the enemy cares to cross, they're going to be exposed to fire. But Zagarman, being in the position he is, all the way in the west, is able to spot many of those tanks that are sitting farther back, waiting to sink shots into crossing tanks. So eLevate approached this from a very intelligent position. Their opening move is to counter what is probably one of the best openers for the defending side right now, which is to counter, again, an opening move that's common. So it's counters on counters on counters, back and forth to find out who's going to really pick the one final counter to counter them all. It's a lot.
It is
a lot to think about.
It is a lot to think about.
And eventually we're going to come full circle again, where people just don't do the counter, because then you don't fall into someone else's response to your response.
Now we wait. RUlette in their defense mode, waiting for eLevate to push up against them. eLevate are in tight corners. They have one tank still way up on the hill. Urtai is down in Gulf 7 at the south section of the tank alley, and Zagarman's on the 1 line. Zone Delta gets hit by Game is Rigged, though.
Give him a minute, minute, 2 minutes. Urtai will get in position.
Big shot from Static against Game is Rigged for 528. Game is Rigged looking for it still. He wants another opening shot against Static. Can't get it yet. eLevate starting to move tanks towards the center of the Delta line. And RUlette is taking a beating, but there's still plenty of tanks left alive, a lot of damage.
I mean, at this point, with the beating that they've taken, it's going to be that much easier for the attack from eLevate to succeed. If they decide to blitz through, they will pay in hit points, but they haven't actually lost that many. Zone Delta's the only one that's damaged a lot. If he's just avoids being the first one across, or waits to be screened by Azrael, for example, it should really be fine. Now, they are going to move out.
Well, here's the corner game now. Master Putin fires against Serenity. Big shot. And Urtai and Azrael 90 and Zone Delta have pushed up. They got tanks on the fly cap, on both fly caps. Zagarman is taking the other one.
Fantastic. Now, Serenity and Urtai are in position to begin dealing plenty of damage. Static G-Force are moving up from the south. Zagarman's going to take a shell. A second one's going to finish him off. That's 2 shells gone from Toplum, who's not going to have those shells available for other tanks. And now Yurkamolo is going to try and get into proper position to get rid of G-Forcer and Static, who are going to be incredibly annoying, especially if eLevate decides to push forward in the north, where they have a huge overmatch right now.
Azpilicueta takes another big shot for 313. He's pressing up against Static and G-Forcer, who are on their own. G-Forcer looking for another big shot. He gets it, but he is overmatched. 4 tanks down below against G-Forcer in that T-29. How long can he hold? Azpilicueta now on the reload, though. That's another tank that's out. G-Forcer waiting to get the reload against Azpilicueta. He's halfway there. He bounces a shot off his T-29. He looks for it. Can he get it? He's looking towards the south. He needs to move over. He's going to lose the shot against Azpilicueta, and he gets it. He barely gets it. Urtai falls. Azpilicueta falls. Master Putin falls. And there's 4 tanks alive for eLevate. 3 tanks alive, excuse me, for RUlette.
And G-Forcer is in a surprisingly strong position. Right now, he is pinning every tank remaining from RUlette to the west side of the map. They cannot cross anywhere east of the 2 line in order to get any kind of control shots fired without being punished by G-Forcer or by a number of other members of the team. Zone Delta's in a great hull down position to support G-Forcer. Azrael, in the meantime, ready to cover the 2 line and maybe even peek out, get a little damage in a moment, while Serenity 17 is going to be on the cap. And that is where eLevate's looking to get the win. They're going to force RUlette to make a move eventually because they're going to run out of time.
88 seconds on that flag cap. G-Force and Azrael 90 still waiting for RUlette to peek out and to punish him for it. Yurkamolo now moving. Reverse angle coming from Azrael 90. Beautiful snapshot. That's going to punish Yurkamolo, and they're going to be even more bewildered and dwindled when it comes to hit points on their tanks. RUlette in a tough spot. Less than 1,000 hit points left total. Zone Delta's now going to push up. He's going to take a hit for 200. He's going to shake that off.
But look at Toplum from the south. He is so far away.
Zone Delta missed a shot, but Azrael 90 gets the kill. Game is rigged now, continuing in the Brawl Fest here. 2 against 1, and he goes down. 1 tank remains with 1 minute and 10 seconds left for Toplum to get out of this fight and get a reset.
He can't get the hit. He tries to go on G-Forcer, gets kind of a roll that leaves G-Forcer with 49 hit points, and then isn't able to follow any of the 3 shells after that for any damage at all, and that really hurts. He does 1,800 so far, 10 shots, 10 hits. Unfortunately, not all of them penetrating.
Still well played by Toplum here.
Yeah, it was a good play by RUlette. It's just like we heard earlier. You just got to make your shots count, and that's what makes those risks pay
Zone
off.
Delta may have a shot. Lines it up, and it gets absorbed in the tracks.
Track shots.
17 seconds left. Zone Delta waiting on the reload. Toplum fires back. Zone Delta hits the building, but Azrael 90 cleans it up. And eLevate has now tied up the series 3-3. And even more important, they're going to be on the defense on Himmelsdorf.
Ooh, that hurts a lot.
Tables have turned.
Now, at the very end, though, I think that everyone's going to be giving Zone Delta with the 2 misses right there at the end. There's a little light ribbing going on in the comms right now.
A little bit in comms, it's fine.
Yeah,
but I loved the setup coming from eLevate and how they used these 2 tanks to approach, keep them occupied, keep them bedazzled a little bit by static here, but also G-Forcer in this T-29. Yes, it's not a T-32, it's not a Pershing, it's a Tier 7 tank, but
That's
it's still...
T-32. He's got a T-32 up there.
Oh, that was a T-32?
Yeah, they went with the extra tier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
We usually see a T-29, that's why.
Yeah, it's pretty...
Well, then that's why it stayed alive for so long then.
Because no cons. Right?
No cons.
I mean, you get him into a hold-down position. If he had to deal with tanks from the north, he was in great position, and he managed to turn that into a situation where usually you'd think his rear armor is exposed, he's not going to be able to hide it, but G-Forcer was very well prepared, and you can tell he was staying calm, cool, and collected as he needed to be. Decides, I'm going to put my rear armor into a pile of rubble. They can't shoot through the pile of rubble. Fantastic. Now I have cover. My side armor is just thick enough, and my tracks work as spaced armor, so I'm going to bounce plenty of shells. Just turn the turret. You're good to go. And with support fire from the rest of his team, very easy position to hold. You have to give it to eLevate, working together, knowing exactly when to push in the north. That's really all it comes down to.
That brings us to battle number 7, a tied-up series 3-3. Can go either way here between eLevate and RUlette. We will continue on Himmelsdorf, where eLevate will be on the defense. Randa, what do we have for tanks?
Well, we have 3 5100s, an IS-3 two, not one, 2 T-32s, and a KV-2.
It's 2 T-32s coming from eLevate.
No. I see it's all in the numbers, man.
And those two T-29s.
Yep, on the other side, RUlette's they're going to go with that instead, and a T-32, by the way. So, welcome to the meta of American tanks rejoining us on city maps.
All right. It's been quite some time. We would see them, then they went into T-69s for the finisher tank, and then they started using the Pershing again, and now we're back.
Do you know how long it's been?
Since before Season 1.
That's 2 years ago that this was a thing. It hasn't been a thing for 2 years to bring T-32s and T-29s to Himmelsdorf.
You could have said the same thing about Artie as well.
Artie...
About a year and a half. We saw Artie in Season 1.
A little bit.
Movement coming from RUlette. We have a number of tanks up on the hillside, and fire coming from Valera Desolator.
Let's put it this way, though. Artie had been a thing of the past for less time than a T-32 had been a thing of the past.
Agreed.
So if you're looking at things that are old style, or we're breaking out the dusty old volumes that are barely bound together, these are the kind of tanks and play styles on these maps that we're having to look back on. Back to seasons when people just played differently.
This is back when Are You Afraid of the Dark was still on SNCC, man. This is how long ago it goes.
It's like that. It's like where ring pops, where you could still buy those at a gas station.
Movement coming from RUlette in the center along Delta Line, now peeking around the corner. Master Putin leading the charge in that IS-3.
And give it just a moment. We'll see if they'll blitz or if they'll hold off. I think holding off at a good enough distance is smart, up until the point you decide to attack. Use the element of surprise. And don't destroy anything at all.
Don't do that. Don't get spotted.
I'm looking at you as if you go slightly to the right, you will break
Yorkamolo has been spotted. Yorkamolo is in that northern position, not giving away too much yet.
No, I think that gives away everything.
Well, eLevate's like, well, none of us took the hill.
What kind of a tank is it?
And
it is an IS-3.
Here's the push.
That's a strong side north tell.
Static is seen.
If it's a 5100, maybe. Maybe it's not an attack, but there's an IS-3 up there that says I'm here to attack you. This is where the majority of my attack will be focused.
Static takes one hit, does not return fire against the 3 Amigos right now, and up the 6th line. Valera Desolator is going to be their 4th Amigo, joining them here in a second. More shots from Urtai and Static towards the north side against Yorkamolo.
If they can draw out a few more shells from Urtai, then RUlette will have a better time making a successful attack. Zone Delta is way out on the flank, and he's blitzing all the way down that 1-2 line. If he can get in to maybe the E line and try and bring it around a flank there, he's going to meet Toplin, who's waiting for him, which will not spell very nice things for him. But if he can go a little further south or even slightly further north, Toplin might be boxed out long enough for that fight to go a little bit different direction.
RUlette slowly backing away from the 5-6 corner. And now they could be charging all together, getting away from the spotting, and now they're going to go around the corner. Vacuum gets hit for 366. And not a lot of return fire, enough, though, to hit Vacuum again.
And it's not nearly enough return fire. They didn't pay enough to get the position. They've got plenty of hit points to deal with, or play with, I should say. And They also have 2 tanks, which work wonderfully in hull down. Static, he's going to bounce a lot of shells, yes, but he can't do this forever because he has to play the game of keeping track of every single other player's reload timer in front of him. Also, there's some weak points that are exposed, and they can be exploited, especially if these players get adjusted and figure things out. There's not enough support here from eLevate on to Static. He will go down soon, especially if he can't figure out what to do next. There's even a window. Static is not safe.
Static continues to fire into tanks where he feels he can connect, and now no longer. He is down. First tank casualty to happen here in Battle 7. Vacuum is low. G-Forcer's engaging against Valera Desolator. Zone Delta now bringing up the rear, who was out of the fight for a while, scouting what was happening to the south. And Valera Desolator hits G-Forcer. G-Forcer's burning down.
Baby,
Will he still survive? Barely left alive here, but Toplum takes him down. And Valera Desolator is destroyed by Zone Delta. 2 tanks down for eLevate, 1 tank down for RUlette.
And Zone Delta's able to put his last shell into the game is rigged. This is very nice for him. He's going to be on the reload. And Urtai, almost reloaded, sitting in a perfect spot, ready to pounce. That is what eLevate's waiting on. They're waiting on Urtai and for Zagarman to get his reload, but ooh, he's starting to take some damage. They probably shouldn't wait much longer.
Urtai takes a hit through the window. Azpilicueta is almost loaded for another shot, and he takes down Serenity 17. Game is rigged around the corner. Is a big hit on Azrael 90, and Azpilicueta goes down. Master Putin is low. Return fire coming from Yorkamolo up top. Game is rigged, hits another shot. Zone Delta's at full health still. And on the reload, and he is ready to turn and burn. Pushing up against Game is rigged. Fires and gets the kill. Vacuum and Master Putin now trying to hold against eLevate's Urtai and Azrael 90. Toplum on the reload is going to be running away. 1 minute and 23 seconds left for eLevate to continue the hold. Azrael 90 gets a kill against Vacuum. Zone Delta's going to push up. He sees Master Putin. He fires. That shot did not connect.
Bounce.
And now he continues to push. There's 1 big shot, and Azrael 90 gets the kill. 2 tanks remain for RUlette. The attackers, 3 for eLevate on the defense with 1 minute and 1 second left. eLevate's in a good spot. Not a tip-top awesome spot, but they're in a good spot.
They managed to hang on. They managed to make it work. I was worried after that T-32 attempt, you know, to just hold.
Nice shot from Azrael 90. He will fall. Urtai now has the opportunity to get the kill. He's worried about Yorkamolo.
Bounce.
Zone Delta bounces a shot. Urtai waits, gets the shot against Toplum. Yorkamolo, now the only tank alive for RUlette, is on the fly cap.
And which way is he looking? He's looking towards Urtai as he attempts to escape south and maybe try and just hold out a little longer. Find a... he was looking through the window. He had the tiniest little angle. He just went for it, you know? He couldn't spend the time to really zero in, make that work. But now he's going to do something which...
10
he's not.
seconds remain,
In the
and
parking lot.
eLevate will stay in the same position. RUlette cannot destroy both these tanks, and now the tables will turn, ladies and gentlemen, as eLevate will be in the lead 4-3 as we move in to battle number 8.
Well, things have certainly turned around. RUlette looking much stronger on steps where they weren't in the last time they faced. And then, well, of course, they faced in week 2, day number 2. So that's a long time ago. So I guess you can't really bring that as relevant.
But it's a relevant footnote because it shows how much teams have progressed and changed in their meta and their tactics and their strengths and also in their weaknesses. I really liked how eLevate stayed in this fight because for a time it felt like RUlette was really starting to catch up to their hit points and starting to punish them for their different opening tactics against their assault. I like the backup and push from RUlette for the second assault and the amount of damage they did not take because of it, but in the end eLevate was able to get the win and now in the lead, 1 battle away from moving on to Thursday's playoff matches.
eLevate makes me worried though at times because they're just these little things that you would expect them to do in an instant that takes them a second. Or maybe they're deliberately holding off that kind of a timing because I don't know what's going on inside the commander's head. I can try as best I can to try and see what's going on, try and figure it out, but there are times when, you know, maybe they have things figured out, like sending Zone Delta back to the north to support G-Forcer. Makes perfect sense. It's a good play. But G-Forcer and the moving in the way he did in conjunction with that, and then the delay on the response in the north from the rest of eLevate. So it makes you wonder, did they deliberately hold off, or was it a matter of you're waiting on someone's reload, you're waiting on someone to get in position, you're waiting for something to happen elsewhere on the map, you're waiting for your enemy to get in the right position. There's all these things that are happening, and I'm wondering what eLevate's really waiting on sometimes to make their move, because it doesn't seem as obvious as what Simp usually does, or what Fear, or I Love Lamp, or who's another team that does this as well? Oh, Hammer Time. Making very, you could say obvious, you could say comprehensible.
But they're clear. They're very clear pushes. They're very clear beats in their tactics.
Exactly. They stick to more of a traditional tempo, whereas eLevate maybe has a little syncopation going on. Syncopation, of course, being to break from the tempo.
Musicality. All right. So moving into this battle, I was talking about how the pressure is probably really on eLevate earlier on. Now the tables have completely turned. eLevate, one battle away from not even joining us possibly in San Francisco, where, or RUlette rather, and eLevate one battle away from doing it, from an incredible comeback against a team that is not to be underestimated in any sense, but has not been the same team that we saw from Season 4. Here we go. Battle number 8. eLevate leads 4 to RUlette's 3. Himmelsdorf, what do we have for tanks?
We have 3 5100s, a single IS-3, 2 T-32s, and that KV-2 played by Zagarman. It's not a bad defense from eLevate. Worked last time. RUlette, 2 5100s, 2 IS-3s, T-32, 2. Not 1, 2 T-29s. So let's see if they can make it happen. As Urtai's going to get into his position, supporting, I expect, nope, not G-Forcer, it's going to be Static. Static going to be in the northeast. G-Forcer in the south, in what is a very clever position, by the way, in a T-32. This is something that very relevant in this team battle format, something to pay attention to in elsewhere. He can see straight through into Delta 4, which is something you wouldn't expect. And also, it's very difficult to return fire into current position held by G-Forcer. A lot of advantages afforded there. We might be able to see some of that in play in just a few minutes.
Yes. eLevate playing this very straight-laced, very methodical. Is it easy to predict? Yes, but it's also the strongest position they could take as the defenders.
And it's also one of the fastest routes to get into the fight, because you can't waste time. You can't afford to be at the end of a battle, be looking at the ability to hold your opponent off or something like that. Maybe have a screen going on and make a cap happen behind that. If that's your only option and you've only got 30 seconds, you're not going to be able to execute on that. You need to get in there fast. You can't wait. Also, with that kind of a timing where you show up that quickly, your opponent, in this case eLevate, might be caught off guard by the speed in which you've arrived, even though they are set up and waiting. Now, we're waiting to see Will Tanks get spotted, Yurkamolo. We're waiting for him to not spoil the surprise, though he is going to start destroying a little cover. Doesn't have much choice about that, by the way. The approach route, the only way you can approach without getting spotted is through a very small window, which...
Shot fired towards York, who is spotted. And here is the turn. Slightly, Master Putin vacuum and Aspilicueta looking for Static.
Actually, hesitation, even. Are they trying to look through the window that Static is currently hiding in?
Or maybe trying to find if there's another tank, such as Urtai, who takes a big shot for 449.
No, look at this. So, Master Putin, Valera, all of those tanks are looking right through the window at which Static would usually hide behind, or look through in order to spot that approach. And they're actually waiting for him to expose like the side or back of his tank. He's actually angling himself in such a way that he's able to take on Yurkamolo, but not expose himself to that window. He's a little bit more exposed in some respects. His side armor is exposed, but back on Master Putin are looking down that window right now. And wow, Static's winning in that fight. And now Static turns his tank and shots are fired through that window, but no connections.
That one came from Aspilicueta. It hit the ruins just barely. They fire again. None of them connect.
Trying to slow plan. That's why they blitzed here. They wanted to find the window and counter that. But it's not working. Static has done 605 damage, fired 10 times. Half of those are hits against a tank, which is very difficult to play corner games with.
And here's a full-on push now coming from RUlette across the open Alleyway, and now the fire's coming from eLevate to punish them. Vacuum and Master Putin both get hit, and they're going to focus on Static, who's going to be up close and personal against these tanks. He gets a great shot against Master Putin for 338, but Static finally gets hit for 356, but Urtai's right behind, and he wants to land some hits against these tanks across this window. Static now on the reload. Azrael and Zagarman waiting patiently for another shot. Aspilicueta takes a hit. G-Forcer gets shot down the Delta line. Master Putin is low. Static's even lower. Master Putin stays on the flag cap.
Yeah, game is rigged. It's going to stronghold on position. That's going to delay Elevate's flank for a little while. Zone Delta is, well, he's having to take on Toplum, who is at a distance and not making two connections. That's actually a window opening. Zone Delta then can just ignore this, push forward, take the damage, and find something else to kill. Serenity is in the same situation. Knowing Toplum has missed 2 shells means, well, time to push it through the south. G-Forcer can take the damage. Serenity, well, he could bring the support fire, and that's going to mean Master Putin will go down, but that's going to be in exchange for G-Forcer.
G-Forcer does fall, but the return fire against Vacuum. Serenity 17 is getting surrounded. These tanks in the corner have got to engage. These tanks that are being sent one by one by eLevate are getting destroyed. Serenity 17 goes down. Urtai takes down Taffy. Aspilicueta on his own, the overmatch here. He's going to continue to do damage against Zagarman for a big hit of 285, but Azrael 90 is going to turn the corner. He sees the shot, he gets it. 4 tanks alive for eLevate.
And now Zone Delta is retreating, which means we're going to need eLevate to support him. Someone's going to have to fall back, or actually, train station's not a bad idea. Never mind. Seems like a really bad idea.
Well,
at least
2
Zone
minutes.
Delta.
2 minutes remain for eLevate to continue to hold. Urtai could see Topolum around the corner, could get a shot, gets it. It does not connect. Looking for another one. Gets it for 328. Urtai's playing this very cautiously. Last shot does connect. He has to be on the reload.
And Zagarman's moving out into the open just in time for that tank to back away. Now, Azrael's going to continue playing that one-on-one, little bit of sniping game against Yurkamolo in the north. Yurkamolo's effectively out of the fight.
Minute 30.
If eLevate could find a way of overmatching, getting Azrael out of his current position, and bringing him south, that would be enough of an overmatch where you would have this 3,600 hit points of eLevate, 2 5100s and IS-3 and a KV-2 against T-29 IS-3 5100. A lot more damage from eLevate still on the battlefield. Zagarman, if he finds 5100, could just obliterate him. Completely obliterate him in a moment. But against Game is Rigged or
60
Yurkamolo,
seconds.
it's not looking like it's not looking as easy.
No, it's not. Valeric takes a big shot from Zone Delta, who's punishing any of those tanks from moving out. This is the last hurrah for RUlette. They've got to press, they've got to attack, and they've got to destroy every single tank on this battlefield. Valera takes another hit for 311. Zone Delta's ready for his 3 shots for any of those tanks that turn the corner. He has full health. He misses a long shot against Topolum.
But they know those 2 tanks are there. They know how to react, and they know how to play this out. And that's going to be Game is Rigged going down under the focus as 2 tanks are just out.
Big shots from Zagarman and Urtai. Urtai hanging back with 2 shots remaining. 20 seconds left for RUlette to push forward. Topolum is 1 shot away from falling. Azrael 90 wins the one-on-one against Yurkamolo. Topolum takes down Zagarman. Urtai is on the reload, and Topolum fires for effect 2 more times. 1 more left. He doesn't take down Urtai. 3 seconds left to go. 2-1, and eLevate does it. They close the series 5-3 in an amazing comeback, and they will continue on to the playoffs for Thursday night.
And wow, finally they've done it. It's been a long time. The guys from Bernal Empires have been competing since the beginning, and they're making it a little bit further today. This is really good for them. This is a huge turnaround, a huge improvement this season, which is eLevate, making it farther in the standings, higher in regular season than we've seen them in a very long time.
A very long time indeed, and to play under such pressure and to play so coolly under pressure and to take calculated risks like G-Forcer moving out and going, oh, be very careful, please. You know, kind of that like concerned parent of, I know you can do it, but this is a really, really tight play if you're going to make it happen. And they did. And I loved how long Static was playing that 1 versus 3 game for a while because all that does is kill time.
Exactly.
And it was beautiful.
And he did it perfectly. That's the kind of T-32 play that you need to see at this high level. He was positioning his hull in a very specific manner, and it was very deliberate. It's something that people have to pay attention to and understand. Everything he was doing was very deliberate. He was not happenstancing into his exact position where he was immune from 3 tanks level of fire or angles of fire and able to engage against someone else while bouncing all of these shells. It was all what he was intending to do. It was all absolutely as planned on his side. eLevate just needed a little bit of time to get their thoughts together and figure out how to deal with their opponent.
Very well done. RUlette, unfortunately, is not going to be continuing for the rest of this season. They're out of the playoffs. We wish them all the best of luck and look forward to seeing them next season, Season 6. eLevate continues tomorrow, or Thursday night, rather. We have one final matchup tonight. That's Hammer Time versus Simply Irresistible after this. Don't miss it.